Uh, you said, there's Emil. He's ending his show from yesterday. We had it on a loop. It's technology. What can I say? Welcome to Emil Amok's Takeout. My takes on all things considerable for today, a Tuesday. Yeah, they have this feature on our platform where you can actually loop a replay of yesterday's show. So that's what we did. So you saw yesterday, and you can tell I've been really waiting for the Supreme Court to rule on what they're going to do with affirmative action, because it's going to affect everyone. It's going to affect schools. And then once it affects schools and admissions everywhere, not just at Harvard, it's going to affect the idea, the concept of affirmative action, really everywhere. And what will that do with equality, equity, representation, diversity? Who knows? I mean, that's going to be the big debate. So we're waiting for the Supreme Court. Of course, everyone knows what's going to happen, or they think they do, with the 6-3 conservative court. But they don't exactly know what the remedy or what the opinion might bring about in terms of a remedy to affirmative action. I mean, if affirmative action is seen as bad, what is the replacement? What will people do to get diversity? Anyway, everyone who's been following this case for years has been waiting, because the Supreme Court is supposed to rule before they exit in July, and everyone's thinking it's going to happen in June. It's going to happen. I had a feeling not today, although I had a feeling on Friday, or actually on Sunday into Monday, just based on some emails I was getting, that, maybe we're going to see it, but we haven't. So we're going to get to that at some point. Hey, I got something exciting. I'm going to be in the San Francisco Fringe Festival. I usually have played the Playground Fringe Festival in San Francisco, up there in Potrero Hill. Great theater, great folks, the Playground folks. I was there a couple years. I also have done performances at the Marsh, both in Berkeley and in San Francisco. Well, now I'm going to be at the San Francisco Fringe Festival, and it's this August 12th at 7 p.m. I'll be doing the Fringe. Also, Thursday, August 17th at 8:30 p.m. and Saturday, August 19th at 1 p.m. That just hot off the presses. I just got the word. So we know this is happening. We know that Emil is going to do those 3 Fringe performances. What's he doing? He's doing Emil Amok, Lost NPR host found in San Francisco, which is a version of Emil Amok, Lost NPR host found under St. Mark's, which I did in New York in February. This will be slightly updated. Slightly. Some San Francisco stories. I'm a native San Franciscan. And so this is coming. These are the dates. And I'm kind of excited. And that means I have to work. And that there will be aspects of a thing that I did last week in Oakland at the Oakland Asian Cultural Center. Emil Amok, 3 bullies and a gun. Aspects of that little 10-minute program will find its way into Emil Amok, Lost NPR host found in San Francisco. It has to, right? I mean, these Amok monologues are kind of like stories of my life. Why do I tell these? I tell these stories to make sense of my life. I mean, it's got to make sense to me, right? I mean, they might make sense to you. I mean, that's part of the beauty of this all, that as you tell these stories to give sense or make sense of your own life, that there's the hope that it resonates and connects with people, the audience who listen and say, yeah, I get it. Yeah. And now that makes sense. Emil makes sense. I make sense. We all make sense. Thank goodness. Now we can live our lives. anxiety free. We can live our lives well. I think that's the idea, right? So anyway, welcome to Emil Amok's Takeout, my takes on all things considerable. We're here Monday through Friday live at 2 p.m. Pacific, or thereabouts, 2:05, I like to say, because you know everyone's on some they have some aspect of Filipino time in their bones, in their life. So I'm trying to find something here that I wanted to share with you. Usually I come talking about the news today. Oh, there's we want to talk about LIV golf. Now I know you may not be a big golfer, right? I mean, actually, most everyone is sort of like a casual golfer. You watch the game because it's fun watching people, grown men and women, hit that little white ball into a cup. Hit that little white ball like hundreds of yards, sometimes as many as 400 or 500 yards. Not at one time, but in segments. Unless it's like a 3-par or a par 3 par. You can tell how long it's been since I played golf. Golf is one of those games that you say, I'm going to play it sometime. And then you wonder why you don't play it more often. And then you see, well, the cost is prohibitive sometimes. I mean, you play a round of golf, you play at a Muni, it's still going to cost you like $20, 15, maybe. That's not bad. But you play at a better golf course, you get a cart, and suddenly you're up to 40, 50, 60, $70. And how many times can you play that a month? 3 times, $200 a month. It starts getting a little rich, because after you play golf, you want to get together with your buddies and go drinking. You have something to eat. I mean, that's the way it always was for me when I played golf. The most golf I ever played was in Hawaii, where a bunch of guys got together, usually about once every couple of weeks, and we all get together to eat afterwards. And it was like a whole day just chasing that little white ball. But it was fun in Hawaii. Well, it's sometimes fun here in California, trying to get that handicap down. Anyway, we're all casual golfers, right? And I don't know if I ever really wanted to play if it weren't for, I started wanting to play in the 80s, played every now and then. You got to have a good buddy or a system down that makes you want to play. And then also, this is why people gamble when they play golf, because you got to make the money back, right? You play in Nassau, you play, $1 a hole or whatever, trying to make the money back. But really, it was Tiger Woods, right, that got us all excited about golf. And now Tiger's gone, and all the great golfers who got people into the game in the 90s and the 2000s, they're kind of like fading. Phil Mickelson's still doing okay, but frankly, the game's stars, not as well known. Not like when I was growing up, the Arnold Palmers, the Jack Nicklauses. That was one generation. And then, like I said, Tiger captured the imagination of fans all over. And now one of the great laments that Tiger Woods isn't playing is, Tiger is who's going to be the golden goose. If he's gone, can't play. So that's where the PGA is. They were in trouble when players defected and went to play with the LIV Golf Tour, which was started with Saudi money, paid for by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, created to compete with the PGA Tour, began playing in June of 2022. That was the real moral standoff. They only hold 8 tournaments last year, and They played 7 so far this year. They paid hundreds of millions to attract the biggest names in golf. And who are those names? Phil Mickelson, Brooks Koepka, who is probably the biggest name in golf right now. Brooks Koepka, who the heck is he? He won the PGA. He's considered one of the best. Dustin Johnson, you've heard of these guys. Patrick Reed, Bryson DeChambeau. So here's the thing about LIV. With all that Saudi money, what is Saudi Arabia trying to do? Some people call it sports washing. It's an attempt by Saudi Arabia to distract everyone from the country's human rights abuses. And they are legion. Most notably, 2018, the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Jamal Khashoggi, let's say his name right, Khashoggi. I mean, we've had videos, we've seen the CIA investigate, conclude that the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, because we've seen the videos, right? Approved by the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Blood money. I mean, the sports washing was to not just distract, but really to cleanse Saudi Arabia for all its sins. And we're just talking about the ones that are more direct. I mean, I'm a journalist. Khashoggi worked for the Washington Post. His murder was brutal. It was, you could see the moments up into, where he enters into the building. CIA concluded that Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, behind this. So, LIV Golf, as it started up, they couldn't attract sponsors, but they finally got a deal with the CW network. They got all these names. They paid big money to these names. Phil Mickelson. And the PGA stood up, tried to shame the LIV golfers when they first started. And at first I thought, well, this would take care of LIV. You got PGA standing up for the tour. But frankly, I don't know what happened. I mean, I see the reports. I see people talking about how they were shocked, reporting that those in the know shocked by what's going on here. There was a lot of legal action between LIV and the PGA Tour. LIV filed a number of federal antitrust lawsuits against the PGA. And then the PGA suspended some players from the tour after they joined LIV. So there's all this litigation, suits and countersuits. I think what happened was people realized they don't care about their morals. They don't care about the politics. They want their business to succeed, the business of golf. The PGA need the big names. The PGA doesn't have a Tiger in bloom. No, it's got a Tiger retiring, a Tiger not playing anymore. And, to his credit, Tiger Woods has been one of the most outspoken against LIV golf. And that's one of the things that gets me. If you were one of the golfers who stood up and said, hey, I don't like this idea of LIV and Saudi Arabia and golf, I'm going to be with the pure. I'm going to stand by PGA. When the PGA backed down, as they say, wussed out, what was it? What was that about? I think we live in a succession world where all that matters, forget about morality, forget about what's right. We live in a show me the money world. And so this merger announced just today, just this morning, PGA Tour said it and LIV had mutually agreed to end all pending litigation. You know, there's still an antitrust investigation by the Department of Justice. I hope the Department of Justice doesn't forget its sense of morality. Antitrust, but I guess they'd have to drop that if they're merging, right? I mean, is there an antitrust issue anymore now that they've merged? I mean, they've merged. This is like, remember the old NFL when the upstart AFL, well, you probably don't remember that, but I do. The upstart AFL started playing. They had the Oakland Raiders. They had the Buffalo Bills. They had the Boston Patriots. They had like a core group of teams, Kansas City Chiefs. The old AFL. When they put it to the NFL, I mean, that's the playbook, right? The antitrust. But you didn't have the morality thing. You didn't have the international politics. You didn't have the Mohammed bin Salman involvement in the Khashoggi, death. And, I'm not even going over terrorism, going over, all the Civil War. I'm not getting into anything. I'm just talking about the Khashoggi death. And that would be enough. So to overlook the morality of Saudi Arabia, how it conducts business, how it exists as a government, significant. But even if you take one thing, the 2018 murder of Khashoggi, that's enough. That's enough to make me say, I don't want to deal with. I don't want to deal with the Mohammed bin Salman. I don't want to deal with the Saudis. I don't want to play that game. And I know a lot of people can compartmentalize and say, look, this is golf. This is a Sunday afternoon. I want to see the best golfers. Tiger ain't it anymore. I just want to see the game. Oh, yeah, really? You'd sell out your morals? You'd sell out what's right just for watching the game of golf? Look, as I started this off, most everyone is just a casual viewer of golf. Golf, is it really that important? You live and die by golf. You watch it on your TiVo. You watch it, recorded. I don't know. You watch it fast forward. I'm not into. I admit sometimes I like to watch the match play. The match play golf, the Ryder Cup, can be fascinating, right? But I don't think you can shut off the politics, put on the blinders and say, let's go hit some balls and forget about all the other stuff. I just don't think you can. Not something this big. And now the PGA is in bed with LIV. That I'll just say this. I'm not watching golf anymore. I mean, I'm a casual fan anyway. I'll watch the LPGA. I watch this hot, not meaning skill wise. I mean, she looks okay. I'm not commenting on her looks, but the Asian American from Stanford who's come on the scene, she won her first professional tournament. I'll watch her. I mean, that's my If I want to watch golf, I'll watch her. But I mean, Rose Zhang, right? That's her name. I'll watch her. I'm intrigued by her. For golf. I mean, she is the thing. She's a prodigy. And I'll watch her. The men, forget the men. I don't care about the men. If the men are going to be in bed with Mohammed bin Salman, forget it. I'm not there. I'm not watching. I'm not supporting that. So, just freed up your Sundays, right? I mean, really, would you consider? Would you still consider watching golf after today? I think I've had it with golf. I don't want to play. I don't want to engage. I can't believe they're doing it. I mean, the PGA, they caved in. They didn't like the countersuit. They didn't have deep pockets. Maybe that's it. So their morals only go as far as their dollars. When you run out of dollars, you run out of morals. It's sad. It's sad. And look, all right, I'm on my soapbox, certainly. But I've heard some commentators say, look, it's just golf. Let's watch it. We're going to watch the best golf. Thank goodness. Well, wait a minute. Part of your leverage to get people to do the right thing is by saying, if you don't do the right thing, I'm going to vote with my remote control. I'm going to vote with my feet. I'm going to leave. I'm not going to be part of your immoral golf baby that you are creating from an immoral union between LIV and the PGA. I'm just not. But, you know, there are commentators, I heard them this morning say, hey, not going to give advice, not going to get in the way of your enjoyment of golf. That is chicken. That's all we have. Not to shame people into doing the right thing, but just to do the right thing. It's not a matter of shaming. You don't shame people by insisting what's right. That's not shame. That's logic. I mean, there might be some shame involved. If some people are real bastards and they say, well, God, I shouldn't have done it, but I did it anyway. I shouldn't have done it. And maybe they're shamed into doing the right thing. Okay. A little bit of shame, but no, this is just logic. You want to go in bed, get in bed with the killers? So if this happens with LIV Golf and the Saudis, what more with any other sport where you want integrity, where you want honesty, where you want rule of law? I mean, all right, look, no one's getting killed with a golf ball. So, I mean, it's not like, sorry, we're arresting you for illegal use of your 9-iron. No, nothing like that. But what they're doing with golf to try to distract and to sports wash the actions of Saudi Arabia, that can't happen. That can't. I'm not a part of that. You may feel free to be I'm not part of that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be a part of that. And for people who say, hey, none of my business, just give me the golf. You love golf that much that you are willing to sell out what's right. I don't know. I don't need golf in my life. Like I said, if I want golf, I'll look at Rose Zhang. I like her. Stanford player. I frankly, I like the women golfers better. I mean, I can watch them. I like the Asian golfers. I like the Asian women golfers. I like, this has been true with just all the sports. I like women's soccer more than men's soccer. I did cover women's soccer for a while, but I coached women's soccer teams, but I appreciate the women's game. I can relate to the women's game. So, I mean, if you must watch golf, LPGA, telling you, this Rose Zhang, she's on a roll. Won her first one. Some say she's the next Tiger. And, maybe the women, now I don't know if this is true. I think the women are as long. I think they can hit it as long. Although some people will dispute that. Wait, no, you don't know nothing, Emil. But you get a good woman golfer against you, against me, she'll put us to shame. She may not put the top guys. Like she might give Dustin Johnson and Mickelson, they might be competitive there. But I don't know. I'll stick with the LPGA. Forget the PGA. Forget LIV. I'm not going. Nothing justifies supporting the Saudi Arabia funded LIV Golf, and now the merger with the PGA. Forget it. PGA dead. I'm not watching. All right. Yesterday I talked about, I said, put on your red dress. It's a matter of the First Amendment. And today in my Inquirer.net column, focusing, it's the diaspora website for Filipinos all over the world. I write about Gina Rocero, who is trans icon. She's a trans icon, right? Gina Rocero. But she's not just a trans icon. She's a free speech hero by virtue of the reminder last week by that judge in Tennessee, Judge Parker, Thomas Parker of the Western District, federal judge. He said it. Your gender identity is a viewpoint. It is protected free speech. You want to put on the red dress, Roxanne. You want to put on the blue dress? Good golly, Miss Molly, put on that blue dress. We needed that reminder. Why? Because we've had so many legislative actions in America, just in the last year. I'm going to pull up this slide that I took. According to the human rights folks, what do they say? The human rights folks said, I mean, it's pretty incredible, the number of something like 500 legislative actions. Yeah, 500 that, anti-LGBTQ actions. 500. And then let's see here. there have been 525 anti-LGBTQ state bills introduced and 220 plus targeting the transgender community. This is from the Human Rights Campaign. I mean, this is serious business. This is why when I saw this story break today, it kind of got me a little bit. Because the Human Rights Campaign is like the granddaddy civil rights LGBTQ organization. For the first time in its 4-decade history, they're the largest lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer civil rights organization. They declared a national state of emergency. Now, when Pride Month began, beginning of June, you knew this was not going to be an ordinary Pride Month. I mean, I talk about in my column in Inquirer.net how, I remember as a kid growing up in the Castro in San Francisco. I mean, I saw my neighborhood change. I saw, I grew up blocks from the Castro district, or from the Castro Theater in the Castro district. Can you imagine all the changes that have taken place since that time, the 70s and 80s? I mean, I remember as a reporter covering the first gay pride parade through the Castro. I mean, it's hard to imagine society going backwards, but there are some in our society that want us to go in reverse. That is what's happening when you see all these anti-gay, anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ plus, efforts in the legislation, and these anti-drag bills that become laws. The first one in Tennessee, and thank goodness this federal judge in Tennessee, the Western District, Thomas Parker, struck it down. He said, this is gender viewpoint is protected speech. And if you're going to pass a law because you say, it's going to hurt minors, well, you better have something narrowly defined lest you hurt others as you go and try to protect minors, because minors might be hurt from a drag show, which the judge took issue with, saying to lump in drag queens with exotic dancers, lap dancers. You don't go see a lap dancer to have a good laugh. You go see a drag queen to have a good laugh, to see theater. You don't go to see a go-go girl for the art, although I'm sure there's some art in the dancing, some aerobic art and whatnot. But frankly, you go to a female impersonator, you go to a drag performer, because that is a whole different ball game. And it's not the prurient interest that is usually a standard for the XXX rated and the pornographic and the offensive. You go to a drag show for the cabaret experience. It is entertainment. I mean, it's a little more risque perhaps than the Globe Theater of Shakespeare's time and the men wearing women's outfits then. But there's no doubt in my mind, when you talk about drag performers, you're talking about art, you're talking about entertainers, you're talking about theater. And thank goodness for Judge Thomas Parker, who says the First Amendment protects viewpoint. It protects gender viewpoint, which is protected speech. Thank goodness for judges like Thomas Parker, a Trump appointee who still believes in the Constitution, in the First Amendment, because we need to rely on guys like that. Otherwise, the courts, the Supreme Court, we're seeing this great American rollback. All the things we thought were settled, suddenly not so settled. All the things we thought were, hey, we don't have to worry about gay marriage, gays in the workplace. We don't have to worry about, oh, yes, we do. Oh, yes, we do. And so in my Inquirer.net column, I talk about Gina Rocero because she's got a new book out. Yeah, you know Gina. She in 2014, she had she put out a TED Talk. Why I Must Come Out. 4 million views. I saw her in New York, right about the time the Filipino American National Historical Society had a convention there, and Gina was on the boat giving a speech. I thought she was good, still gathering steam. Now she's just 39. She's a polished public speaker, an entrepreneur. She's got a new memoir out, Horse Barbie. I'm gonna have to get my copy. But she talks about her early life, first in the Philippines, as competing in the transgender beauty queen circuit there. She lived openly as a trans person. I mean, it's not as big a deal as you think, right? She comes to America, officially recognized in her documents as a woman, works as a model, but she always lived in fear that she would be outed not as a biological woman, but she'd be outed as trans. So she has a different trans narrative. The New York Times wrote a piece last week, said she rewrote the trans narrative. I don't think she rewrote the trans narrative. She just openly discussed what many Filipinos, what many Asian Americans know about the trans experience in Asia and what happens when you come to America. That you can be totally out in Asia, in the Philippines, and Cambodia, and other places. In the land of the free, not so easy. So rewriting the trans narrative, what she did was she diversified. She opened up the trans narrative. So suddenly we're not just talking about white trans. We're talking about Asian American trans, Asian American trans experience. It's different. And when you look at it, you see, wow, what kind of journey must that have been when she's all of 17 competing in trans pageants in the Philippines. She comes here to America and it's a different world. And she finds herself at the makeup counters at Macy's. I know those counters. I mean, if you go to the downtown Macy's, the women, the Filipinas, Gina's saying, her quote in the Times was, almost every single counter has a trans Filipino working there. She was just 17. As the Beatles would say, you know what I mean. I saw her standing there. Anyway, so that's my column on the Inquirer.net. Catch it on Inquirer, INQUIRER.net. Add a little Filipino twist, talking about Gina Rocero. Because you look at pictures of Gina Rocero now, right? And you say Asian trans, Asian drag. I mean, it's a thing. It's an art form, and it's a lifestyle. It is a gender viewpoint. And on the week that Gina Rocero releases, or the month that she releases her new book, Horse Babe or Horse Barbie, she's a free speech hero. That's what we're reminded of when Judge Thomas Parker shuts down the anti-drag law in Tennessee. Now, there are at least 16 anti-drag measures, but as I pointed out, there's like more than 200 anti-trans bills in legislatures around the country. I mean, from everything like healthcare and, bathroom, everything. And then there's the anti-gay, anti-LGBTQ, about 500, over 500. And that's why the Human Rights Campaign, first time in 40 years, has come out and said, LGBTQ plus Americans are living in a state of emergency. The multiplying threats facing millions in our community are not just perceived, they are real, tangible, and dangerous, said Kelly Robinson, the group's president. In many cases, they are resulting in violence against LGBTQ people, forcing families to uproot their lives and flee their homes in search of, I don't get the rest of the quote. Anyway, it's real. It's real. In fact, I saw another stat that was put out by the ACLU that said the number of instances of LGBTQ violence roughly double that of, double, I think it was. Violence against LGBTQ plus is twice, 2 times for lesbian or gay persons. And violence against for transgender people 2.5 times more. So it's a thing. It's a real thing. And I was waiting for someone to come out and say what I said at the start of the month, that this is the most homophobic time in our history, because I sense a rollback coming. And thank goodness that Kelly Robinson came out with a statement. Multiplying threats facing millions in our community are not just perceived, they are real, tangible, and dangerous. LGBTQ plus Americans are living in a state of emergency. I mean, that's what it's about. Be careful out there. But remember, the law's on your side. Also, it's protected speech, according to Judge Thomas Parker in Tennessee, striking down that anti-drag law. The first real anti-drag law to gain prominence. Go to my column at Inquirer.net to read more about that. Okay, so we talked about LIV, UG. Don't understand it. We talked about human rights and free speech. I think we're gonna call it a day here. Still looking at, I'm following that case in South Carolina on violence. Asian man shot a black teenager. Waiting to see what happens at the bail hearing. If there's going to be another one. Still trying to understand that. I will say this. What did I see just now? Oh, I saw This is why you're going to see more repeats and you're going to see more game shows. It's because the writers are on strike. And I saw a repeat of The Talk, which is a kind of knockoff of The View. I think The Talk is on CBS, and they were doing a repeat from from Women's Month, which I believe is February or March, and they're showing all these women athletes, and they showed Chloe Kim. And she says she's going to compete in 2026. That's great. She was looking good. They also showed another woman, Allison Thompson, who was drafted by the Professional Women's Soccer League out of high school. Her parents are African American. Her ethnicity is part Filipino and part Peruvian. Just interesting. So I had that in my mind. How am I going to talk about? Well, I guess I talked about women's golf, so that's what made me think of women's sports. I'm done with LIV golf. I'm done with, well, I've never was started with LIV golf, but I'm done with the PGA. And look, the PGA, think about the Masters. Think about the times that Tiger went to the Masters, knowing that the Masters weren't just referring to the Masters of golf, but the opposite of African workers. I mean, and when Tiger first started, that was an issue where some people hung on to those stereotypes and those values. So, golf has come a long way from, Tiger's entrance, and now Tiger has helped evolve the game so more diverse people love to swing a club, go to the, hit a range, hit a bucket of balls. But it's still a rich man's sport. I mean, you can play all the munis you want. It's still going to cost you $50 every time you do a round, maybe 35, unless you walk all the time. And, so if you are a casual golfer, I can't see what would keep you watching golf if you know that golf was an immoral game. That the professional golf, that those who are behind professional golf in America and in the world, the LPG or the PGA merger with LIV supports a regime like Mohammed bin Salman's in Saudi Arabia. Look, I need all the brownie points I can get. I'm not for supporting Mohammed bin Salman. I'm not. I can give up golf. If it makes me feel good, if it puts me on the side of the pure, I don't love golf that much that I've got to go down with the PGA. The LPGA, no, I'll watch women's golf. I will watch women's golf. More interesting with Rose Zhang anyway. Forget about the men's game. They lost me. I hope you join me in condemning the PGA and their very succession-like move to join Mohammed bin Salman. It's all right. I mean, I never understood. I thought maybe they had them on the ropes, but I guess the good people of golf had their price. Okay. Okay, that does it for today. Hey, look, I'm here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific or thereabouts live. We're on Twitter at Emil Amok. We're on YouTube at Emil Amok1. On Facebook, fb.com/EmilGuillermo.media. Just go to my name on Facebook. I'm there live. Also, we put up a link to watch the whole thing at amok.com, my website. Regular viewers know that I like to meditate. Oh, Nimi, if you've gotten this far, Nimi rewards you. I mean, I said this at the beginning, but I just got the dates for my shows. My Emil Amok Lost NPR host found in San Francisco at the San Francisco Fringe. I got to go find that email. It's where is it? Okay, it's Saturday, August 12th at 7 p.m. Thursday, August 17th, 8:30 p.m. and Saturday, August 19th at 1 p.m. And this is at the Fringe Festival. I'll give you the exact location, but I just want you to mark the calendar down. It's around where the Exit Theater was, and so I think it should be fun. A fun 3 shows, and then I go from there. I go to New York, and I'm in The Conductor off Broadway at the Theater for the New City. So it should be fun. It's going to be a fun August and a fun September, and so that's what I'm sort of gearing up, preparing for. Okay, regular listeners also know I like to meditate. And ordinarily, if I didn't meditate, I would have been more amok. I would have been more amok than I am now. But I'm actually kind of calm right now. Always comes down to that loving kindness meditation. Loving self-kindness, metta, M-E-T-T-A. And so, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. Mahal Kita.